There's a level of transparency that I'm going to have on this channel that not everyone will resonate with, not everyone will like, not everyone will understand, which is fine because that's my story and my way that I choose to tell my truth. Um, 5 years ago, my dad died, and he had battled with cancer for a lot of my life, which, sorry about that, there was a bug, scared me. um, which, as a child, and as a little girl, I grew up like loving my dad. I'm daddy's little girl even now. Um, so watching him fight and be so strong was really cool, but also kind of like, why is this happening to him? Right? Because, like, why was this his destiny? Why was this his story? Why was this supposed to be his experience? So he had colon cancer that metastasized to his lung, metastasized to his brain, and then when it came back and finally killed him, it had went down his spine. It was hard. I mean, as a kid, like, I watched things that my dad had to go through with taking chemo and having medications and the constant checks and losing his hair. Some of those things were like, hair grows back and who cares, you don't need hair. But then other things were like rough because you watch people become a shell of who they were. Towards the end of his life, my father couldn't communicate, which was very difficult for me because I am a eloquent and amazing communicator because of what my father instilled in me. Not just my father, my parents, my family. We all probably overly communicate, which I don't care. We're gonna keep doing it. But when I lost my dad, I didn't know who I was. And it was difficult because towards the end of his life, since he couldn't talk to me, we couldn't discuss like what it was going to be like, how it was going to be next, how I was going to move on, what was to come, and who I was going to console, who I was going to talk to, how I was going to figure it out on my own. As parents, being that I'm a mother, I like to think that what we instill in our children provides their understanding for the next step without you. But I didn't feel that way. And there are times still I don't feel that way. Like, there are times when I'm like, I just need my dad to fix it. I just need my dad to tell me to go left or go right. Because somewhere in my mind, he always knew. But to get back to me, I lost him and I became empty. I didn't know who I was if I couldn't identify with him. I couldn't check in with him. It was like I used him as my gut check. I used him as this is who I am, right? And it rippled into everything. So I've always seen myself as like the rock of my family because I think I'm so strong and I got it all going on. And I'm the youngest. I'm the youngest of 3 girls. And my sisters dealt with my dad's loss the way they dealt with it. My mom did the best that she could do, but I felt like I had to be strong. I had to be strong for my mom because I was living with her. I had to be strong for my sisters because I just felt like I needed to. And then there was, I'm a mom, so I can't, like, my daughter can't see me break all the time. Like, I can't just be the one crying all the time. So it was much easier just to not feel. What I didn't know was by not feeling, I was beginning to shut myself down and out from everyone around me. A friend of mine came to my dad's funeral, and I said to her, "Thank you so much for being here." And we had a conversation maybe a few months later, and she was like, "I looked at you and I knew my friend wasn't there." And to be honest, I don't think I got here, like that I really came back to me until recently, which is hard to say because I really, really like went through a depression. I didn't know who I was. I wasn't loving myself. I just went through the motions. I had to take care of my daughter. I had to support my husband, who at the time was my boyfriend. You know, he became a truck driver, had to take care of us. I lost my job. There was just a lot going on. And then on top of which, another situation had struck our family where my now mother-in-law, I got into a tractor trailer accident. So it was just a lot of, I can't lose people. And excuse me. I found recently that I never lost my dad because of what he gave to me. I just lost the physical man. And of course, I thought of all the things like he's in a better place, and everybody gave me those speeches, but I just wanted him here, right? So, try not to cry. So, in going through my depression, like I said, mentally, I had checked out. And when I would check in, the emotion would be so overwhelming that I would be scared. And it was because I bottled it up, right? Like, you know, like anything you put under pressure at one point finally explodes. The explosion scared me. The explosion made me feel like out of control, and I don't like to be out of control. And I lost friends. My relationship with my husband suffered really bad. And you don't know the full ramifications of an experience until you're coming out of it, right? So you don't know at the time that people are suffering with you. You don't know at the time that people are also going through their own things and trying to navigate how to deal with you. You also don't know that, or you do know that life has to keep going, but it's almost like, how does life keep going when I feel like my world crashed? How does life keep going when, you know, somebody who meant the world to you isn't there anymore? But life went on. And when I finally came out of my depression, which then I recognized that it was a depression, I felt like you feel relieved, but then I'm a deep thinker, and I wanted to understand why my depression was the way that it was. Like I understood that I was a functional depressive person because I didn't require medication, and I went on to I interacted with people, I hung out, I did a lot of things, but emotionally I didn't connect to people. No one could understand what I was going through, even though they could, but it was just like, who am I to burden anyone else with my emotions, my issues, my problems? And I also couldn't communicate what I needed from anyone, because typically when people lost someone or typically when people needed emotional support or support at all, they came to me. So it was like, how do I tell someone what I need when I've been giving it to them? It was a very big lesson, and it's still been a big lesson. I used to get wildly emotional when I would go visit my father's grave, which I do. For a while I didn't, but I do now. I go see my dad, not just on holidays, not just on birthdays, but sometimes I just go, I need to go see my daddy, and I go visit him. And I used to cry. My husband would come with me. At the time, he was just my boyfriend, and I would just cry. I couldn't talk. I couldn't vocalize anything. And now I go and I play catch up. Like, hey, Daddy, here's what's been going on. Here's what I'm feeling. Oh, check out my new car. Like, I act as if he's right there, because being on the other side of this, and also believing that believing in spirit, and believing in the aspect that people's souls and people spiritually will always be with you. I talk to him just as like I'm talking to you in this video. Do I cry? Do I tell him I want a hug? All the time, because I do. You never understand what it's like to lose a parent until you go through it. Unknowingly, I then became surrounded by people who had lost parents, and they looked to me for guidance. And someone that worked with my father, who had lost her father, said to me right after he passed that I was gonna be in a bubble, that I was gonna feel like that I wasn't gonna feel, and that's how I needed to operate for a little while. And my bubble lasted 5 years. My bubble lasted until I was really ready to pop it and expose the not so awesome parts that I felt. I wanted to put this video up and give you this information because I had to learn how to heal, right? And that doesn't mean when you heal something that the memory of the person or the situation doesn't hurt, right? Because that's not realistic. Things hurt, and sometimes they hurt for a long time. But I put this video up to tell you that I'm here for you. I'm here to support you. I'm here to be an ear to listen. Comment. Tell me your experience, because you never know that you're walking through a situation until you're in it, and then you feel alone. And you don't have to be alone. You don't have to feel alone. I got married without my dad, and him and I had planned our first dance. So that was really hard too, because him and I had talked about it for years, that we would dance to Butterfly Kisses. So that's what I did. I asked all the dads at my wedding if their daughters were present to dance with their daughters, and for them to share that moment with me about my dad, because it was our song. it is hard to do this, to be this transparent, to be this open, because sometimes I think I'm still in the thick of it, but probably because I didn't let myself feel it. But getting it out, telling you, talking to you who are watching, is super therapeutic and very helpful. But understand that grief affects everyone differently. Grief doesn't always look like what you think it will. And that's probably the beauty of our human experiences, is that we all will experience similar emotions differently, or the same emotion differently. So thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Comment below if you have anything to say. I appreciate all the comments. And until we meet again.